Hey, Canucks fans, with another big signing, big transaction today in the NHL. I want to talk for a few minutes today as to what you think the Canucks should do and what you think they'll realistically be able to do over the next few weeks as we look at the draft and as we look at the start of free agency. So today's news, Damon Severson, I wouldn't say the highly sought after, but the relatively sought after right shot defenseman for the New Jersey Devils being traded, signed and trade technically. So he signed an 8-year contract because if you sign with your current team, you can sign for 8 years as opposed to 7. So he signs an 8-year contract with the Devils worth $6.25 million a season. And then he was promptly traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets for merely a third rounder. Now, is Severson going to live up to this $6.25 million a year for 8 years? Well, he's a good defenseman. He is a right shot defenseman. We know that those guys are highly coveted, but it's just weird. It's a quite a big contract, and it's for a team in Columbus that I'm not sure if they're ready to win right now. And yes, they have Line A, of course. They have Goudreau, of course, and they're part of that big three-way trade for Ivan Provorov. But I still got to think about this one. I'm not convinced that this was the best trade ever, the best signing trade ever, but we shall see. Yeah, I'm not here to really dissect the trade, though. I'm here to talk about how the signing of Gavrikov in LA, how the three-way trade between LA, Columbus, and Philly that precipitated that signing by Gavrikov, just how we're starting to see more activity in the NHL now. In the NHL, given that the draft is only a few weeks away, 3 weeks away now, and then the start of free agency is a few days after that. I think the draft's June 28, 29, if I'm correct, and then free agency starts a few days later on July the 1st. So I said many times before, I said at the start of this month, the Canucks would have to, now's the time to get active, to get busy, to start making some moves. And obviously, we all know that the Canucks are in a salary cap crunch. They are over the cap right now, so they simply don't have a lot of space where they can. No, they can't sign any free agents right now as their team currently stands. So they will have to definitely they will have to. Just watching a guy outside the side of my car here, just make sure he doesn't beat me up or rob me. They will have to make some moves. They'll have to get creative if they want to make a splash in free agency, especially. Now, with the draft happening 3 or 4 days prior to free agency, there's obviously a lot of options. You can trade down and acquire more picks or more assets. You can trade up and give up more assets, or you can't trade laterally. You can't trade for your own pick, but you know what I mean. There are many things that happen around the draft, including packaging prospects, futures, taking bad contracts, taking new players, whatever it may be. So we know that that's kind of in our, in the back of our minds. So my question to you, Canucks fans, is what do you think? What do you want them to do, and what do you think they actually will do? Now, for the first question, what do you want them to do? I think it's obvious. I kind of hit at it. We want the Vancouver Canucks to shed salary. And I know the 5 names that are always talked about are the 2 defensemen in OEL and Myers, and then the 3 forwards, the 3 wingers in Besser, Garland, and Beauvillier. And I've talked about all 5 of these players here and there for the past month or so. With OEL, we know how that his contract is heavy. By the way, did you know that although we're paying OEL $7.2 million a year, Arizona is still paying $1 million on top of that. So technically his salary is $8.2 million a year, and we get 7.2 of it. So then, you can buy. We've talked about you can buy them out, and then there's a bit of savings at the start, but then you're still having dead money on the books for a long, long time. With Myers, we know that of the $6 million, $5 million is paid out after September 15th. So then, if you're going to move Myers, it won't be until after September 15th. How does Ethan Bear, right side, not signed yet? How does that come into play, if at all? So OEL, I don't think OEL gets moved or bought out. We've heard Patrik Allvin say they don't want to use buyouts, but they may have to. And then with Tyler Myers, he's not tradable really until midway through September. Then for the 3 forwards, I've always talked about Besser. In fact, I just did a video about him a couple of days ago, how he wants to stay, and the Canucks will likely be, quote, stuck with him because his will be the hardest contract to move. Then you have Beauvillier, who's only got 1 more year left at 4.15, so that's maybe movable. And then Garland at 2 years at 4.95. and that might be movable, but you may have to attach something. So those are 5 guys that you can talk about: is OEL, Myers, Garland, Besser, and Beauvillier, and their contracts. They're basically go from $4 to $7.2 million. So that's one way to shed cap space, is to trade, and acknowledging that you may have to attach sweeteners to do that. Actually, now that I think about it, that's really the only way you can shed cap space is by trade or by buyouts. And if buyouts aren't going to happen, then you have to look at the trade route. Now, are you Canucks fans, are you willing to trade down from pick number 11 if it means like trading pick number 11 and one of those contracts I just talked about, and then you get back like a lower pick in the first round and then maybe a future pick? And then now even I say that out loud, obviously it depends on the player, depends on the team you're trading with. But I don't know if moving up, I guess I was going to say, I don't know if moving up to 11 is enough of a sweetener for someone to take on one of those bad contracts. But obviously that depends how far a team's moving up. If a team's moving up from 12 to 11, that change is kind of immaterial compared to a team, for instance, that doesn't have a first round pick or have a different first round pick. And so imagine now that I'm just sounding this out, imagine if a team trades Vancouver a second round pick, and then in turn they get 11th and then one of those players. Of course, there's got to be second plus more, but then maybe that's a way that you can shed one of those contracts, is if you trade the 11th overall pick to a team that where the gap is quite big. I don't know how to really value all of these picks, these draft picks, and what's worth a second versus a third, a sweetener, a prospect versus a player. It's so tough to say, and that's why I think it's really tough for a GM, although those GMs are supposedly way smarter than I am. But it goes without saying, I guess the main point of this video is the Canucks are going to have to get creative. And and I asked this about 2 weeks ago of you. I said, are you confident that Rutherford, and especially Allvin, will be creative enough, will be able to think outside the box enough to make some space for this team? Now, Thomas Drance just did an article in The Athletic this morning talking about trade tiers, i.e. players that the Canucks could go after in trades. And then he basically said that because the Canucks, he likes to use the term, the mushy middle, they're not so bad like Chicago, where they can just blow things up because they have too many good players like Pettersson, Hughes, Demko, blah, blah, blah. So they're not going to be that bad where they're just going to hope for some really franchise players to come through the draft. Yet at the same time, they are too old with those core players to really build through the draft right now. So in essence, the draft can help with your rebuilding or retooling your team. But where the Canucks are at, because some of their good players are more mature, what he's saying is they're going to have to really improve this team through trades. And you can't improve this team through trades until you free up some money. So you can see where it's going to be very tricky. You can see why Canucks fans are anxious, and not all of them are completely optimistic that the Canucks will be able to accomplish that. So I leave it to you, Canucks fans. Many of you are smarter than I am. How do the Canucks free up some money to get active in the trade market? That's my question to you, is how should the Canucks free up money to get active in the trade market? And you can talk about buyouts if that's what you prefer. You can talk about trades plus sweeteners, but let's be realistic. How can the Canucks do this? Or are they hooped for a little bit? We shall see. It's going to be exciting, hopefully second half of June as we get into transactions, as we start to see activity throughout the league pick up. Let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Shout out to my sponsors, Van City Experts Real Estate, Perform and Transform, Personal Training, Weight Loss. Thank you, legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Carol Bovenlander, legendary Andrew Chang, and to Hall of Fame and franchise members. Thanks for all your support. And thanks to all of you subscribers or those who haven't subscribed yet. Thanks for your support. Always appreciate you. Never take you for granted. Subscribe if you'd like to. Like this video if you like to. Leave a tip if you like to. Become a member, upgrade your membership, and leave a comment below. How should the Canucks free up some salary so they can get active in this trade market, or I didn't even talk about this, or in the free agent market, but a lot of the similar things. You need money to go after free agents as well. Let me know in the comments below. All right, friends, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. Have a great day. God bless, and go Canucks go.